Today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we compare my home studio to mixing in a real studio. For the last, I don't know, 20 years or so, the home studio market, the amount of people that are mixing and recording and doing all sorts of stuff at home has really exploded. And I have often wondered, in the context of my own room, when I'm doing mixes for bands or my own YouTube stuff, how would this be any different if I was at an actual studio on, let's say, a console with super expensive outboard gear and super expensive monitors? Today, I hope to answer that question. And before we go any further, this video is brought to you by Sweetwater. Sweetwater has all of the tools that you need to record at home, in the studio, or on the go. I will link down below in the description if you would like to know more information about all things Sweetwater. All thoughts and opinions are mine. So normally when I'm at home, I am mixing on a set of Genelec 8331s with the matching sub, and I love these monitors and I love my own room setup. I do have to run correction via the Genelec GLM software. However, I want to know what a given mix that I have done here would sound like in an actual studio, print that, and then kind of compare the two to see what differences we hear, if any, and are those big enough to really kind of justify going to a studio. And I think a lot of misconception lies with actual studios in that they're perfect. Now, there are some studios that are purpose-built and are meant to be absolutely perfect, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of studios have their own sound, but are far from perfect. And I'm talking about the sonics in the control rooms of a lot of studios just have a given sound and they're not totally flat. And they do have weird high and low spots and hyped frequencies and stuff like that. That's part of the charm, along with the outboard gear, of getting a real studio. And that is a vibe. And vibe is important when you're making music. So I'm going to go to Studio Litho, which is a legendary studio here in the Seattle area. Studio Litho is owned by Pearl Jam's Stone Gossard, and some of my favorite albums were recorded there. Mastodon's Blood Mountain, Deftones' Around the Fur, just to name two right off the top of my head. This studio is incredible. I have never actually been there, and with me, I'm going to take these Meyer Sound Omni 6.5-inch monitors. These monitors are worthy of a studio like Studio Litho. Now, the Meyer Sound Omni monitors are 900 watt Class D monitors. These are meant to be crisp, clear, silky, and really, really flat. Now, I am unfamiliar with these monitors. However, these retail for about $8,100 a pair, which is quite a bit, but Meyer Sound has made their name in the live sound. They make a lot of PA stuff that you see at just about every show that you've ever been to. They know their stuff. They know their speakers. They know their tech. They know sound. We're going to check these out at Studio Litho and compare my mix that I did on my Genelecs to the Meyers with an old API console in Seattle. So I guess we should head on over to Studio Litho, and then we're going to come back here. We're going to talk about it.
2 days later.
So I have found myself here at Studio Litho in Seattle. I am joined by my dear friend, Jason Lackey, Lackey Productions. We have worked together for over a decade, and you have actually taught me a lot about audio, about studio stuff, about microphones.
I was going to talk to you about the bill for that.
Yeah, no, we shouldn't talk about that. Not the time. That's not the time. And we're here at Studio Litho, and what we are going to do is we are going to take the Dead American track Into Oblivion that is actually out now, linked down below in the description if you want to check out the master version. However, I mixed that at home. The point of being here is we're basically going to run this track through a vintage 70s API console.
Oh, yes.
We're going to use some Meyer Sound monitors that are super expensive and awesome. And we're going to first place them, and then we're going to kind of get our bearings sonically in here. And we're going to run the song using the stems that I've bounced from home into the API. And we're going to see the differences and how different it is utilizing that track here versus my own home studio, and we're going to see if it's a huge change or if there's no change. We don't know. So without further ado, we should probably unbox them and get them set up. So we're going to do that now. So like I mentioned before, the monitors that we're going to be using are Meyer Sound Omni's 6.5-inch monitors. These retail for about $8,100 a pair. Why are these monitors? Well, we are just going to shoot for the stars as far as really just going top shelf with everything, because again, we want to hear any differences from my own home studio here at Studio Litho. So without further ado, we're going to unbox these things and we're going to get them set up.
Let's do it.
Let's dive in, shall we? All right, so we have unboxed the monitors. These are
surprisingly light.
These are surprisingly light. I believe these come in at about 24-ish pounds. Like I said, these are a 6.5-inch speaker. These are supposed to be super, super flat. And you have a little bit of listening experience with these monitors.
I do.
And you said they're pretty particular about the stereo field?
Well, the stereo field is particularly interesting to me because of the way that you can set them up kind of in a lot of different toe-in scenarios,
Okay.
and then have them really have a good throw. They have a really interesting stereo image that I think you're going to find really different than your standard Genelex NS10s, so on and so forth.
Okay, I am totally unfamiliar with Meyer Sound monitors, so I am so curious about these things. Guess we should probably set these up with the console and get some sounds running through them. All right, so we are in front of this beautiful 70s API console, which is incredible. This thing is awesome.
Can I take it home?
If you can fit this in my trunk, then side drove. Okay, well,
gap tape.
Oh, okay. Let's take this home. What I have done is I have bounced out individual stems for the individual parts. So I have a stereo track of just the drums. I have a stereo track of the bass, rhythm guitars, post effects, vocals, etc., etc. We are running them through the console, and we're basically going to start listening on these Meyer's monitors. We're going to get an initial reaction from both of us. And we've made sure these work, but we haven't run the track through all the way yet. And then we're going to solo some things and kind of just play around with the track and further level set and see what we think.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what your thoughts are on the stereo image in particular.
Yeah, because so you're more familiar with the monitors and less familiar with the track. I am more familiar, obviously, with the track. I am not familiar with these monitors.
Yeah, and then we have it going through the console, so that's another kind of variable, but...
right, and I'll compare these once I get home, but let's play the track.
Yeah.
All right, Into Oblivion by Dead American.
No one needs to know. I've got a secret that I'm dying to tell, but it's stuck at the bottom of my wishing well. If we're gonna take a first start, no one needs to know, but I think I found the best. But I've got a secret that I'm dying to tell, but it's stuck. And it's strange how everything just is. Maybe we forgot the meaning. Maybe we should all just fade. Another day, another nightmare into the dark, but I am not scared. Maybe we should all just fade into oblivion. And someone's looking at me and nobody's around as far as I can see. No one is haunting you. No one is haunting you. Feeling like I'm being chased in the wrong direction, held in suspension, and no one is haunting you. Ain't it strange how everything just decays? Maybe we forgot the meaning. Maybe we should all just fade into oblivion. Another day, another nightmare, into the dark, but I am not scared. Maybe we should all just fade into oblivion. Every single day, I wish that you could say the same old things you say just to annoy us. 'Cause every single day, we play the same old games. We both know that they can't control us. Ain't it strange how everything just decays? Maybe we forgot the meaning. Maybe we should all just fade into oblivion. Another day, another nightmare, into the dark, but I am not scared. Maybe we should all just fade into oblivion.
Okay, so first of all, that sounds awesome.
It's a good mix.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Great
There
song.
is right off the bat, there's a general warmth and a smoothness in the top end that I don't have at home, or maybe I do. I last mixed this song almost a year ago, so but I listened to it a million times, and first of all, these monitors sound incredible.
Yeah.
But as we were talking about while the mix was going, there seems to be a little bit of a, I don't know if you call it an hourglass imaging, where if I back up a little bit, it's going to open up a little bit,
Definitely.
or not an hourglass, but like a narrowing when you, because we're technically a little too close
Yeah.
to these monitors.
I think these want to be a little bit more, to me, they want to be more in the midfield. We have them kind of in the near field because they're on top of the console.
Right.
Bridge, meter bridge. But if you're back, say 2-3 feet in the center, all of a sudden, like the
Right.
stereo imaging is amazing. But what struck me is when you went to the post effects section with the little, ambiances,
Yeah.
and extra stuff that you put in there, or that you were mixed in there, it just all of a sudden everything just kind of surrounded you. It
That was
feels like,
nuts.
It feels like it's like outside of your ears, but not out of phase in a bad way.
No.
Just like, like you're wearing a nice pair of headphones almost at
Right.
certain points.
That is really crazy. I don't hear any harshness with these monitors. I mean, for $8,100, and they better not be harsh. What are your thoughts on the overall sound of these monitors versus other ones that you're familiar with?
The overall sound, I think, is really well balanced. I think it's like a definitely. So I used to mix on HD1,
Right.
and it's a different world from the HD1s. The high frequencies on here are, like you said, really smooth. They present in a way that seems to me like the imaging is very wide, and
It is very grand.
it doesn't feel as like laser beam focused as like some other
No.
speakers where you have like the Gentle X, and like the top end is like you have to point them, toe them in just perfect in the triangle, and then they're in your ear. This feels like it has a lot more wiggle room for where you want to put them and where you want to toe them in.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like they have a little bit more flexibility in that regard.
Yeah. I should probably also mention the only bus processing we have is we're going through, was it the A Designs?
Smart C2.
The Smart C2.
Yeah, which is the SSL clone.
Yeah. So basically we just have a little bit of a VCA comp on the 2 bus, as I would when I was mixing this originally. But this is, I want to note, the non-mastered version, what you're hearing. If you want to go hear the mastered version, link down below in the description. But I didn't want to compare this later when I'm back home to the mastered version, which
Right.
is so wildly different.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm having a little bit of a proud moment because that sounds pretty
Sounds-
damn good.
Sounds great.
Um,
Yeah.
I went round and round with that guitar tone
The guitars
because
sound really good. And especially when we soloed up like the rhythm guitars and then put the layer guitars and the fill guitars, it just kind of went whoop. And
which is exactly what I wanted.
yeah, it really has it has that feeling where it feels nice and wide, but it's not like in an artificial way, you know. And I think, you know, obviously we're also pumping these tracks through a vintage API. So some of the smoothness on the top end might be, you know,
I think,
some of that.
I mean,
I guess this is okay.
yeah, I guess it's all right.
This is
There
what
is
you want
a-
to work on.
There is a silky quality to this console
Okay.
that I immediately hear
Yeah.
with the track.
It makes you want to make records on it.
That is really, really incredible.
Yeah.
And vastly different from, I'm only familiar with an SSL and not an old Neve, but a modern Rupert Neve.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done loads of records on big Neve, vintage Neve consoles, but I have worked on and tracked on SSL G series, E series, and a Duality. I think I'm playing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
But I'm not a console guy, right? That's just not how I mix. However, this has a sound that I immediately can pick up on.
Yeah.
Which is super, super cool. And kudos to the Meyer sound monitors for translating that.
Yeah. I feel like I was a little bit surprised at how good they sound where they're positioned, because like I said, I think
We're a little close.
we're a little close. They want to be in the midfield a little bit more. And I do feel like they need the sub too. Like when we take the
Yeah, of
sub
course.
out, like
With the 6.5-inch woofer,
yeah.
to be expected. But really the sub here is not, it's not hyped.
No,
It's very,
it's nice and balanced.
yeah, it's very, very balanced with these. These sound incredible.
Yeah. And they, I feel like it has a really good, for a two-way, especially, it has a really good mid-range. Because a lot of times you get kind of a weird separation between the woofer and tweeter when you're kind of doing this. And I feel like even though they're placed up a little higher than we would probably want normally, you'd want the tweeters at more ear height, but they sound good where they're at.
They sound really, really good and clean, I guess is the way.
And we didn't spend all day like
No.
getting these laser, you know, sighted in. We just kind of like, we're like, oh, this sounds and looks pretty good, you know? So if you really spent time dialing them in and putting them in the proper placement, I think they'd be amazing to mix on.
Yeah. All right. I guess what we should now do is print out the mix, and then I'm going to go back home and compare the two.
We can't leave.
Okay. Jason's going to stay here.
Stay here.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go back to my place, everyone. All right, so I am back home and I have both prints. On the top, we have the print of right off the API console. And then down below that is my print of my mix through my SSL comp, because the API was hitting the C2 SSL compressor at Studio Litho, okay? A few caveats. We did not mix this song from the ground up on the API because that would take a lot of time. Also, you know, I don't have the capability to duplicate and remake those decisions since I'm using outboard gear and plugins. You know, to do just a console mix would be fun, but again, it's not really possible for the time constraints and the studio time and costs to do that. So as you saw, we did the stem leveling. We kind of gave a little rough mix on the API console, a simple bus compressor, and that's all you're hearing. At home, I did the same thing, and you can see they're different. The waveforms are, I think, you know, the API is a little hotter, although I volume matched them as best as I could. Let's listen to this thing, see what we think. I'm gonna start with the API and then move back and forth from there.
I'm dying to tell, but it's stuck at the bottom of my wishing well. I think we need some time if we're gonna take a fresh start. No one needs to know, but I think I found the best part. I've got a secret that I'm dying to tell, but it's stuck. Ain't it strange how everything just decays? Maybe we forgot the meaning. Maybe we should all just fade. Another day, another nightmare, into the dark, but I am not scared. Maybe we should all just fade into oblivion. It's like that funny feeling someone's.
Okay, so right off the bat, I would say my mix, or my print rather, has a little bit more extended low end and a little bit more top end. The API print from Studio Litho does have a smoothness, but it also has a little mid-range bump and some overall low-level saturation, which is obviously going to be, you know, as a result of the 1970s API console, which sounds gorgeous. I like that the API has that smooth top end. I wish I had the low end of my print on the API, which obviously with some tweaking I could have gotten pretty easily. That's pretty interesting. I'm gonna keep playing. Let's play through AB a little bit more, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Looking at me and nobody's around as far as I can see. No one is haunting you. No one is haunting you. Feeling like I'm being chased in the wrong direction, held in suspension, and no one is haunting you. Ain't it strange how everything just decays? Maybe we forgot the meaning. Maybe we should all just fade into oblivion. Another day, another nightmare, into the dark, but I am not scared. Maybe we should all just fade into oblivion. Every single day, I wish that you could stay.
The Studio Litho print, the vocal is a little hotter, and there are some balance differences between the two prints because we were just there on the console just kind of setting faders. However, they are pretty close, really. I think the API has a little bit of sauce that my print here at home does not have. I will also note that I used a lot of outboard gear for this mix. This is not an in-the-box mix. However, it's pretty close. The API does have some sauce, which, you know, it's a 70s API. That's really interesting. Okay, so now that we have compared both mixes, what do I think? I think the vibe of a studio is very, very important. Now, there is a vibe here, and there is a comfort at my own house, at anyone's house, right? Your own house will never be as comfortable as an actual studio. However, studios have a vibe, and if you are mixing or tracking or recording anything in an actual studio, that vibe absolutely can translate to your performance, whether that's a performance as a mix engineer, performance as a mastering engineer, guitarist, drummer, vocalist. Being in that environment, I think is a very valuable thing. I love being in the studio environment. It puts you in the correct headspace. I am not hearing, you know, my dog bark at the FedEx guy when I'm at the studio. You know what I mean? So for me, I think there's use cases for both situations. I absolutely love these Meyer's monitors. I was totally unfamiliar with them going into this video. However, yeah, these sound really, really good. I love the top end that these monitors have. They're very detailed. They are pretty pricey. However, if you are an actual studio operator, definitely check these out. I don't know if I could actually have these in my room since they don't have room correction and my room is very far from perfect. So that's a whole nother video. But Meyer Sound, super sick monitors. Studio Litho, super sick studio. Genelec monitors, awesome. I guess the end result of this video for me is it doesn't matter what you use as long as you're having fun, honestly. I will link down below in the description for all of the things that you have seen in this video. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing to further support this channel. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.